welcome back to the Cinematic Flight Reports. I'm in Antwerp, Belgium, 30 minutes away from Brussels Airport and about to return to Dubai, flying Emirates on the exact same route that I travelled to come here 3 days ago. Initially, I was planning to fly Swiss first class via Zurich, but in true Lufthansa Group fashion, my flights were cancelled just over a week ahead, without any further notice. Therefore, I will now be flying in the very same first-class product on board the 777, which overall left me fairly troubled in episode 6. Enjoy! This beautiful sunny day in late April of 2021 made for a wonderful drive to Brussels, and even let the airport appear to be less of the cold grey concrete monster it really is from the outside. And with a net flight time of a mere 6 hours, we will arrive in Dubai just before midnight. No disrespect, but if you've ever flown from Brussels, you will know what I'm talking about. As far as beautiful airport buildings go, this is not one of them. I arrived at the airport fairly early and demand was rather low on this Friday afternoon. Emirates check-in area is located at the right end of the hall, right after TUI Belgium's. Even though there was a lady in line in front of me, the check-in agent confirmed to me that I would be the only passenger traveling in first class today. With all formalities taken care of, I walked towards security, passing the still closed shops along the hallway. Once cleared, you're standing directly in front of a huge line of windows. Providing panoramic views over the U-shaped terminal building and the apron, this to me is the airport's best spot. With planes docked left and right, it might be worthwhile spending a few minutes and taking in that airport atmosphere. I'd rather sit here in peace and watch the airport operate than head to the lounge. And today, there was no such decision to be made, as a designated lounge for Emirates passengers after passport control at Concourse B, Brussels Airlines' The Suite Lounge, was still closed, leaving all passengers without lounge service. Emirates opted against the deal with the airport's Diamond Lounge as it doesn't meet their standards, and I also didn't feel the need to pay the €39 premium for access. Instead, I roamed around the empty gate area, taking a look at the 777-300ER that was about to fly me back to Dubai. Emirates continues to rely heavily on the 777, as 1 in every 8 777s ever made were delivered to the company, making Emirates the only carrier to fly in all 6 of its variants. I then used the extra time and checked with gate staff about filming on board. They quickly called the flight crew, which had no reservations at all and was happy to grant me permission. To me, doing this remains important, and I'm well prepared that someday for any reason the answer might be no. Boarding then started right on time, and being the only first-class passenger, I was also first aboard the aircraft.
Right, thank you. At gate B5. All other passengers are kindly requested to remain seated for the moment.
Today, the cabin's appearance was totally different from the outbound flight. Instead of the clean and bright lighting used on the morning departure from Dubai, the cabin now shimmered in a bright orange from above, contrasted by blue elements on the floor level. The gaffery also changed colors on demand, as per time of day. I again chose Suite 2K, and also here I was stunned by how much of a difference the colorful lighting makes. The provided amenities, of course, were exactly the same, just a snack basket featured different chips. Looking at the massive armchair, The intense blue lighting now reveals all the different LED locations that Emirates incorporated into the design, and that also goes for the entire cabin. From LED strips in the ceiling tiles to the little wall elements behind the seat, the achieved resemblance to the appearance of the mood lighting found in Mercedes-Benz cars is indubitable. Settled into my seat, the crew then served me a welcome drink. To my surprise, my first choice was declined, and the flight attendant insisted on serving Veuve Clicquot instead of the listed Dom Perignon while we were on the ground. I'm not sure what protocol dictates here, as in both episodes 5 and 6, Dom Perignon was offered prior to takeoff, with no questions asked. Be that as it may, regardless of the brand of champagne on offer, the cool glass was a welcome refreshment and a good tune-up for the flight ahead, as we would soon leave the gate and start taxiing.
Put your mask on first and then help others. In the unlikely event of an emergency landing, please brace yourself like this against the seat in front of you.
For today's 6-hour flight, Emirates offered an extensive dine anytime menu, enabling you to pick your favorite items in any order and opt for a late lunch or dinner or both. To complement the 19 food items, the classic selection of cocktails and premium spirits were offered, which in itself is remarkable, as Emirates is not shy of serving top-shelf liquors. Additionally, the same solid wine selection from the outbound flight was available once again. And now, being in the air, I was able to choose a glass of the Dom Perignon. The 2008 vintage, with its outstanding freshness, remains one of my favorites, and I hope that Emirates will be able to keep it available for some time to come, as it's always a treat. I decided to eat right after takeoff and was soon ready to place my order. Starting with canapés, I selected 8 of the offered 19 choices. Within minutes, this visually appealing selection arrived, accompanied by one of Emirates' mocktails, a cucumber gimlet with mint and lemon. Today, the canapés consisted of a slice of air-dried Italian ham with pear, as well as herb-crumbled salmon and 3 pieces of buffalo mozzarella sitting on top of a pea puree. All that was curated to match the taste of the Dom Perignon, and I must say that this time, the selection tasted way better than on the flight from Dubai. Only instead of the pea puree, perhaps a classic green pesto would have been the better choice with the cheese. Nevertheless, this was a promising start to the upcoming meal service. On my 2 previous flights in Emirates first class, the offered food was hit or miss, and especially in episode 6 turn out to be below standards, revealing structural errors and lack of care. So being on the return flight today, I honestly was a little concerned about how things would turn out. I absolutely appreciate the amazing cabin and personal service, though when you advertise a product as a culinary adventure that features fine dining, you need to deliver on that promise. As I had the entire cabin to myself today, the crew offered to prepare the bed on the other side in Suite 2A, giving me the option to lie down after my meal without additional waiting time. Back in my suite, the table was being set. The first thing I noticed was the walnut tablecloth that had the same pilling as the one in episode 6, only this time it was also not pressed properly. Neither Etihad nor Qatar Airways would ever put out a cloth in this condition, and that goes for any class of travel, yet alone first class. Even though I was the only guest, the crew was unable to replace it, as they told me that all others would look equally disappointing. Usually, Emirates prides itself on an immaculate presentation, so this definitely doesn't sit right. The first course to be served was the caviar. Just as last time, the size of the portion was generous, featuring all classic condiments. Yet it would be better if Emirates would also provide the proper cutlery for the dish instead of relying solely on the blinis. Following the assortment of heated pieces of bread, the mushroom consommé was second to be served. Usually, I would always try to sample the offered meze, yet after having it multiple times in the past weeks, I ordered the soup instead. The offered heated bread was a nice touch, and I did my best to free the 2 slices of garlic bread from their redundant plastic wrapping. The served Chateau de Pressac was a good pick, and didn't need to hide between the 8 times more expensive Pichon Baron. I again took advantage of the offered carafe, and I wished that more airlines would provide them. The soup itself was a good choice as well, matching the earthy notes of the wine. Before trying the made-to-order salad, I also had Emirates' twist on a classic vitello tonato, which in addition to the slices of roasted veal and tuna sauce, was also served with vegetable antipasti. Afterward, I turned to my final starter, the mixed green salad with a topping of prawns. This time with the Condrieu, I chose a cold glass of white wine to go along with the dish. The salad was plated beautifully, yet at a second glance, something wasn't quite right. Apparently, the tomatoes still had their green stem and were not appropriately prepared. This is not me being picky, it's basic kitchen etiquette that goes without saying. And that is precisely the lack of care that I mentioned earlier, especially when you're preparing the salad on board to order and have a chance to check all the ingredients before serving them. Other than that, the salad was fresh and tasty, and the provided French dressing turned out to be a good match.
kitchen and send them all that next time. Great.
Yeah, true. Because I will let my senior know so we can write about it. That's it.
My main course then simply was supposed to be a safe get from both the fish and the meat. The mushroom rigatoni with peas and green asparagus. But actually, they tasted really good, and the combination unexpectedly was way more exciting than I thought. I clearly underestimated the dish. Meanwhile, the sky had already begun to turn red as we were flying southbound towards Dubai. Before my ordered dessert would arrive, I turned to the ICE entertainment system and checked the onboard duty-free selection. Unlike most carriers, Emirates has not suspended the service during COVID or even scrapped it altogether for cost reasons like Qatar Airways did in 2019. I always find it interesting to browse through the offers and usually buy one or two small things. This time I chose a model of Emirates A380 showing Expo livery. The served dessert was a real showstopper. It was the first time that I've seen a dish on board Emirates First Class presented with this finesse. The Millionaire's shortbread bar with layers of caramel and chocolate topping was served with beautifully plated nuts and fruit in a sugary syrup. The hot cappuccino fitted perfectly, and I was happy to enjoy a sweet indulgence like this. Since I had made a remark about the tomatoes in the salad earlier, the crew checked back on me after my dessert and approached for feedback, which led to an open exchange about Emirates and the experience in general, which I found to be very positive. Taking personal interest shows that you care. Last but not least, I relied on Graham's Tawny Port once more, as I didn't want to miss out on the 1976 vintage and its soothing sweetness. The taste notes of caramel and raisins made it an excellent pairing for the cheese board that was still to come. And today's selection included 2 hard cheeses from cow milk, as well as a piece of Gruyere and Camembert, served with dried apricots, fruit bread, crackers, and grapes. As appetizing as that looks, I don't understand why the offering is so inconsistent. Just a few days earlier, Emirates served a more compelling selection of cheeses, including a British Stilton, as well as some goat cheese and feta. I've no idea where those 3 extra choices didn't make it on this flight. The Gruyere may very well have been upgraded from the cold plate. Speaking of inconsistency, the served cappuccino now also featured Emirates logo. My point is, it's the same plane, the same class of travel, and the same route. Last time, the cheese plate made a convincing first-class offering, and today, though fine, it was the samey kind of cheese plate you'd see in other airlines' business class. I don't think that this is the end result that Emirates should be aiming for here. After finishing the cheese, I passed on the offered fruit plate and decided to have another glass of the Saint-Emilion before getting ready for bed and changing sweets. Today, the offered food service left me with mixed feelings once again. I value the honest and attentive conversation about the product, yet I would really love to have a more reliable and consistent experience on board, and would then, for example, not feel the need again to choose my main course based on the assumed likelihood that it might be inedible. When you're aspiring to be the world's best airline, this level of confidence in the offered product is a must and needs to be achieved. Now the cabin, on the other hand, is in a league of its own. The implemented LED stars that gloom in from everywhere, together with the refined lighting that now during nighttime floods the cabin with a glow of pink, know to set the mood like no other. The industry-leading fully enclosed suites would make every guest feel like being the only one, even if all 6 suites were taken. The possibilities to customize your experience remain unparalleled, as not only the light with all its different settings, but also your suite's temperature lies in your control. From bed to living room, this suite is the best choice on the market for anyone who's traveling alone, or anyone who wants to be left alone for a while. Personally, while I enjoy the functionality of the cabin very much, I do sometimes feel overwhelmed by all the glamorous elements that are condensed in such a small space. I guess what I'm trying to say is that even though this is supposed to be a very elegant and personal experience, I just don't feel at home. In order to really connect, the fancy and at times pretentious way this cabin full of luxury comes across needs to be balanced by a good portion of heart and soul. Or else, the only thing it really is a golden facade. With only a few minutes of flight time left, Dubai's skyline was now unfolding for everyone sitting on the right side of the plane. As you can see, darkness doesn't sit well with the virtual windows, as the cameras struggle to pick up the little light that's left outside. We arrived in Dubai 20 minutes ahead of schedule, and this time I would actually stay in the city for 3 days and not travel onward to another place in the United Arab Emirates like I usually would. So far, I had never actually visited the city of Dubai itself, and I was looking forward to checking all these touristy bucket list items and also taking in some sunny hours at the beach. After leaving the aircraft, Emirates ground services awaited me with a buggy and offered a ride towards immigration, which made me arrive at the baggage belt even faster than last time. And with a designated immigration fast track, I was on my way to the car within an additional 5 minutes. From here, I would head on to IHG's newly added Voco Hotel, located near Dubai's Museum of the Future, alongside lots of other hotel brands. Like many 5-star hotels in Dubai, the Voco offers competitive rates as well as a good compromise on location. And in a city where Uber gets you literally anywhere fast, that compromise is looking even better. That's it for episode 7. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care, and bye-bye.